Hey, what is up guys? It is your girl, Coach Leanne, down here at AA Fitness in Plainville, bringing you yet another informative video just to make your workouts better and just to make your life better. So what we're talking about today is the importance of the eccentric portion of a rep. So every rep that we do, we have a concentric contraction, we have an isometric contraction, and we have an eccentric contraction. So they all have different parts that they play. So every time I do a rep, generally the first thing that I do is the concentric contraction. Not necessarily every time, but in this case, we're gonna be talking about a bicep curl, so the first thing that we're gonna do is contract the muscle. So if I'm holding on to a dumbbell, when my arm comes up, while I'm contracting that bicep, that is the concentric portion of the exercise. Now when I'm holding it up here, this is the isometric, where there's no movement happening, iso, nothing's changing, length is not changing, no movement is happening. And then as I'm coming down, we have the eccentric part of the contraction, which is known as the lengthening. So when we concentrically contract, we shorten the muscle. And then when we eccentrically contract, we lengthen the muscle. So the eccentric, the lengthening, the down, that's the part that we're talking about. And that's the part that's working against gravity. So when we work on the eccentric portion of a rep, that's when we do the most damage to the muscle, and that's when we get the most gain from it. That's when we build the most strength, and that's when we build the most hypertrophy from it, if you will. That's when the muscle gets bigger. So when my muscle is in this contracted position, when I go to let it lengthen, because all of the muscle fibers are smaller and contracted, when I go to lengthen it, if it's under control, the muscle is still contracted, it's little micro tears happening in the muscle. And it's a good thing, it's not a bad thing. This is what we expect to have happen. So as those little muscles are tearing and tearing and tearing and tearing, the most repair has to happen. So when that repair happens, then the muscle gets bigger, AKA hypertrophy, and that's when we build more strength. So that's when, okay, today I'm using a 10-pound dumbbell to do my bicep curl. I do all those little mini tears, or I get all those mini tears in my muscle because I worked on the eccentric portion and I controlled it. So now today I can lift a 12 and a half or something like that. That's how we get better and better and better. So if I'm leaving that part out and I'm concentrically contracting and I'm letting the dumbbell kind of fall back down, and then I'm again contracting the muscle and letting it fall back down, the contraction's good, it's working the muscle, it's working against gravity, but you're not getting those micro tears from that lengthening portion. And that's huge because again, that's where we're gonna get better and that's where we're gonna see the most change. So when we talk about making an exercise harder, and sometimes we give you that eccentric portion, that's why, because that's gonna get you really, really strong. It doesn't always have to be picking up heavier weights. We want you to do that for sure because we want you to get stronger, but this is one of the ways that we have to do that in order to get stronger, is work on that eccentric lengthening piece. And it's not just with a bicep curl, it's with anything else that we do. For the most part, you can figure out what the contraction is. So a squat, for example, we actually start with the isometric contraction. So when I'm coming down, I'm actually lengthening the quad muscle. This is the isometric at the bottom where I'm holding, and then the contraction is when I come up and I'm squeezing the quads. So then in this case, the eccentric would be the slow on the way down to gain the most, the little micro tears in the muscle, and then the contraction on the way up when we're working against gravity. So just if you can't really remember which one is which, pretty much every single time we talk about an exercise, when you're working against gravity, the way up, that's the contraction of the exercise. Every time we're working with gravity and we're coming back down, anything that's lengthening the muscle, that is your eccentric. If you're not sure which part is the eccentric, you can't figure it out, that's okay. Ask one of your coaches, we will tell you which part it is. So if that's something that you want to focus on to work on getting stronger, to work on building up more and more muscle, we'll tell you which part that is, and we'll tell you which part to focus on. And when we give you the option of however it is that you want to make it harder, try out this option and see how it works for you. Okay, so if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys later.